traumatic for her and for me. But I have the hope that with time, time is a healer, we will be able to just talk again. Because when I think about Clara, I really think about her like my sister. A sister with whom I had all the problems I could imagine. But that's the way it happens in a family. I mean, Clara and I, we didn't choose to be together. And you don't choose your siblings. You just, yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you are together, living things together. And that's what makes the bondage in a family. And here with Clara, it was the same. So I think that, this is an energy that has to flow in a very positive way.
So, of course, later you were joined with a larger group of prisoners, and so these human relations got even more complicated, it seems. And you write really eloquently of how the FARC were able to sort of humiliate you and manipulate the group in ways that made it very difficult for you all to get along. I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, and also the unique role that you were in as the most famous, to put it in those words, prisoner there, and how that affected your relationships with the other prisoners.
Yes. I think that being a hostage is a very damaging situation for your psyche, because we are the choices we make. This is how we know who we are, because when we're confronted to situations and we make some choices, then we know really who we are. When you don't have freedom, you don't make any choices, and then the compass of who you are is not clear anymore, and you lose that sense of identity. So the identity thing was a very critical issue for all the hostages. The identity works in human beings in relationship with the others. That's how we know who we are. It's in our relationship with others. And this relationship goes through all kinds of things. Space is a clear relationship issue. Food, because that's when you are together, when you eat. Here we were parked in a prison that they had built in the middle of the jungle with barbed wires and watchtowers in every corner, guards, rifles, 24 hours a day, and 10 people packed in that very small space. People that had nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do. We didn't know each other, we didn't want to be there with each other. We had different backgrounds, different cultures, different everything. And then we were sharing that space and sharing the lack of everything. And to give you an example, when the pot with the food would come, in the first days of this new life together, we would be very civilized, and we would just, the guys would say the ladies first, and we would go and serve ourselves, and it would be. But after 2 weeks, that thing would, the big guys were there in the pot the first, and they wanted to serve them, and they would have all kinds of excuses saying, we are big, we need more food. And, well, there was no more food. The pot was what it was, and we need 10 to eat from that thing. And there were ones who were explaining to the others that they had the right to have more food. I mean, it was a very difficult situation. Add to this that we were fed by the guerrillas, not only with little amounts of food, but also with gossip. They would use the guards to talk to some of us and to tell them horrible things about the others. Like, oh, you know what, this person said this about you. Or this person thinks, or all kind of information that would trigger confrontation between the hostages. And the strategy was very clear. They wanted to divide us in order to prevent us to do things together. Like, for example, escaping together. So they didn't want to have a leader. They didn't want to have somebody putting things together and moving the prisoners. So for them, giving privileges to ones and not to others was also a strategy to confront. Because when, for example, we all were in bad shape and we were all ill in some sort or another. And they would give medicine only to one guy or to two guys. And the others, we were like, could I have an aspirin? Could I have an antibiotic cream because this is infectious? Or nothing. But the other guy would have everything. So of course it creates, you know, I mean, here you have a problem. Because you begin hating the guy who's having the privilege of having everything, because you think that that person is just the traitor. He's having this treatment because he is giving information about the rest of the group. And so there you have the division, and there you have the war. Because you have, you need trust to be able to live and cohabitate with people. And then when you don't have that trust, then you begin having problems. On top of that was the problem that one of us was more known than the others. And that was me. Whenever we would hear in the radio news about our situation, it was my name that would pop up. And that was not good. Because it irritated the others. Because they were just, you know, bitter, knowing that always it was one name that was the one who was recalled in the news. And so they became aggressive, some of them, not all of course, but some became very aggressive, and they would turn off the radio and they would say, who do you think you are? You think you're better than us because you're in the radio? So you are the little princess because you're the presidential candidate? And here I was trying to tell them, look, I don't want to be a celebrity among hostages. I mean, this is not something that I'm looking for. I cannot do anything about this. I'm not calling the journalist to give me an interview. I cannot control this. But at least it can help us. It can just, I mean, if they're talking about the situation, it will help all of us. It was very, you know, painful for me to just have this kind of arguments with my fellow hostages. But I think I didn't understand the root problem, you see, because I think that I wasn't sensitive enough for their ordeal. I didn't understand that because we were all suffering this identity crisis, the fact that it was only my name coming up all the time, of course it hurt them. Because it was another denial of their identity. It was like if they didn't exist, if they didn't, like if their pain was not taken into account. And it took me really a long time to just understand that it was normal for them to have this kind of resentful attitude towards me. If I had understood that before, perhaps I would have reacted in another way, more positive. But I was in pain and I couldn't understand what, you know, I had not evolved in a way that I could be sensitive to the pain of others yet.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what the radio meant to you there in those 6 years?
The radio was everything. Well, today we have all kinds of things. We have the television, but we have the internet, and we have the iPod and the iPad and everything. And we don't understand what